Hey my friends, welcome back to a new video. Today we'll be talking about you're not going crazy, you're just living their matrix. This is an important topic because many people are going through internal battles right now, not understanding like, is there something wrong with me as I'm walking a different path than most people, or am I actually just waking up to a greater degree of understanding? So there's a reason why the word matrix is repeating now over and over again. We can find it in science, in the field of quantum field, the 0-point field, where scientists are explaining as the whole universe is a matrix. And we can find the movie The Matrix, and we can find the word matrix all over the place right now. But the word matrix actually means a womb. It comes from the Latin. And womb is explained as a place in which something is developing. That's why it is used in science. Because the universe is a place where something is constantly developing. Something is constantly flowing, moving, and therefore developing, transcending, letting go of what doesn't serve itself anymore, and transcending into its greatest possible potential it can experience. So we are all individual universes that are just part of this whole universe. Like each of us is a holon that is an individual part of something that gives life to everything. And when it comes to awakening, expansion of understanding, at some point you get out of the womb and you experience a greater wholeness. And that's what happens to those who are seeking new answers. And not everyone is ready to awaken at this time. Not everyone will awaken with you at this time. I was actually inspired to make this video after reading a comment that says, "It's difficult when you know that you're ascending and people in your family that you want to take on the journey with you do not understand. It's very difficult continue forward sometimes with the realization that some people just are not in the same space as you, especially if those people are very dear to your heart." And that is happening to many people. You may feel like you love them, but they're like blocking your evolution. Like they want to hold you in their space, in their womb. And you're actually ready to get out of the womb, or you've already started getting out of the womb. For example, in the movie The Matrix, there's a symbol of this process where Neo actually awakens in this artificial womb, and he finally gets out and he recognized that his whole life was just an illusion. His whole life was just a program, just that everything was artificial. But here we may recognize that it's more like psychological game. We're like, to a certain degree, we've been doing things for others. We've been doing things for the approval of others, for the validation of others, for the expectations from others, because we've been raised like that. We've been programmed and hypnotized to do things for certain specific reasons so other people would like us. But at some point we've recognized, well, how can I satisfy others if I am not satisfied with myself? Have you noticed that? Because when we recognize, well, if I am not satisfied with myself, I will never be able to reach satisfaction of others. So the goal needs to become for me to be satisfied with my life. And rather than seeking this kind of satisfaction in others, I will rather start emanating this energy of satisfaction, of happiness, of joy, of passion, of enthusiasm. And therefore, I can actually inspire someone to walk the similar path of satisfaction, of pure joy, of enthusiasm for life. And that's something that leads an individual into awakening, where you recognize, well, for the whole time I was actually seeking something that was already within me, and all I needed to do was to declutter my system from all those limiting or limited ideas that were making me feel small, that were making me feel not enough, that were making me feel like I'm the broken one, that all those who seem happy are better than me. And you've started to recognize, well, each of us is walking our own journey. And if you started seeking bigger questions like, who am I? What's the purpose of life? What's going on here? It's just a sign that you're waking up, and that what is happening on this world is that the history is repeating itself, and you don't want to be a part of this repetitive cycle anymore. You want to create something better. You want to get into the golden age. You want to become the light. So, more lights together create stronger light that can enlighten more darkness, that can, when there's just one light, it will be visible, but it will not be strong. But when more lights come together, light gets stronger. And that's what's happening. More people are enlightening themselves with a greater understanding. And truly, between enlightenment and ignorance, there needs to happen an expansion of intellectual knowledge. So we can recognize, okay, this is why something is the way it is, and this is what I have to change so the changes can happen. We recognize, well, I am the source of change. I am the source of change. I am the cause of those certain effects. And sure, we're living in a collective reality, but each of us is also living in our own tunnels of reality, or your own spectrum of what you're seeing and experiencing. And once we focus on this, on our own spectrum, on our own tunnel, and we recognize, well, I will perfect it, not externally, but internally. I will master my mind. I will master my psychology. I will master my emotions. And I will awaken more of light within my beingness. Even science now says that actually your DNA is emanating light. And this light as frequency also carries information. And actually within your DNA, there's information of the whole history of this of this solar system. That's how powerful you are. And when you recognize that actually your beingness is emanating light, more you get coherent with yourself, stronger the light becomes. It's also science. More the energy is coherent, stronger will be the light of the DNA, higher will be frequency. And as energy becomes more coherent, frequency gets higher. That is science. So it puts us to a whole quest of gaining better understanding what it all means in my personal life. It means that if I start practicing being more coherent with myself, being more coherent with the whole nature, with the whole cosmos, it means that I start to sense what is right and what is not right. And that's what Aristotle was talking about when he was teaching ethics. He was talking about righteousness. A person becomes righteous when he or she is practicing righteous acts. And for that we need to start noticing what feels right, what gives us a sense of righteousness. To practice important virtues like moderation, righteousness, courage, and justice, something I've mentioned in the previous video, right? And when we focus on those four virtues, courage, righteousness, justice, and moderation, you recognize that this is a whole quest. This is a whole process for me to retrain myself so I can walk in alignment with life, right? Because when you study nature, you will notice nature never goes in extremes. But even if it does only with a purpose to purify something. We have hurricanes sometimes and volcano eruptions and things like that. And if we study the past, we can notice something I've shared with you in the video about the Hopi prophecy, that this earth has been through at least 3 catalytic events that kinda erased the history and made a reset. So a new civilization could start it all over again. But not everything was erased. A part of the wisdom from those who walked before us was stored in certain specific places. Like, for example, scientists found Dead Sea Scrolls that were hidden in jars in the caves, in which there were texts about those who walked before us. And we can recognize by that nature never goes into extremes without a reason. It only goes to balance itself. And we can be reminded that we shouldn't go in extremes without a reason, but people are going all over the time into extremes in fights, into extremes in certain chemical abuse like drugs, alcohol, smoking, anything, in extremes in conflict, in extremes in expression, in extremes in promotion of something that may not be really beneficial for society, and so on. But our ancient ancestors were teaching us about important virtues, about important principles, that if we embody them, we start waking up, we start expanding our whole understanding of who we truly are, and we recognize, well, this life was not meant to be experienced through suffering, but through growth, through evolution, through personal transcendence. And the word transcending basically means that you let go of what doesn't serve you anymore and you embody more of what worked for you and what works for you. So you embody what works and you let go of what doesn't work. And you can only know what works because you've been through many experiences that taught you the wisdom of life. Like, this is helpful, this is practical, do more of this and do less of what is draining you, do less of what is toxic, do less of what doesn't help you to grow. And as we embody more of what works and let go of what doesn't work, we transcend. And transcendence is like the process of peeling off the layers of what doesn't work, and we become more of what actually works. And this is where our energy becomes more and more and more coherent, and less and less and less incoherent. More coherent energy, higher the frequency. Higher the frequency, higher the emotional, blissful experience will be. So on the emotional spectrum, we can recognize the higher we go on this emotional spectrum, higher will be the expression of love, the expression of gratitude, the expression of joy. And that's what is happening. If you're walking on this path, seeking this information, finding higher knowledge, practicing it, embodying it, you're not going crazy. It may feel on the outlook like you've started studying maybe esoteric wisdom, and you've started studying philosophy, and you've started studying science, and You've started studying all kinds of those things, and then your family members may come to you and say, hey, what are you doing? Is there something wrong with you? Like, you're learning all of that. See, life is working quite well. What's wrong with you? You may think, well, am I truly going crazy? But what's happening? A part of you started saying to you really loudly, hey, there's more to life. Stop being so ignorant. Stop being so ignorant, because you haven't unleashed your potential, and you have to firstly discover what it all means, what a word potential even means, right? Because we say, well, you have such a great potential within you, but what does it mean? It means that it's something undeveloped within you, something undeveloped that can be really, really helpful and maybe important in this society at this present time, but you have to discover what it is. So yesterday I've shared with you this message. Every single day on my Instagram page I make those daily messages. You can go there, check it out, give me a follow. Every single day I post them. And yesterday's message was, many may not understand you right now because they are not on the same level as you. However, as you grow to understand yourself better, your true identity, your likes and dislikes, what you like, what you don't like, what you tolerate and what you don't tolerate, your unique talents and gifts, and learn to embrace them and honor the parts of you that make you special. You will naturally attract those who resonate with your frequency and are aligned with your journey. So we have to talk about this a little bit, because it puts us into a greater understanding that we should focus on what we like doing, and what we don't like. So we recognize, okay, if this doesn't resonate with me, why should I still keep doing it? It doesn't mean keep doing what feels okay and stop doing what you are afraid of. It doesn't mean like that. For example, I like to make these messages, but it doesn't mean it's easy. Sometimes doing a research may take me more days for a certain topic. And even talking in front of the camera may be something scary, but it resonates with me. That's why I'm doing it. And that's what it means to focus what you like doing and recognize what you dislike. And important part, what you tolerate and don't tolerate, especially in relationships. When somebody is constantly blaming you for something, when somebody is constantly angry towards you, that's something you should stop tolerating. Because only that way you can evolve, and you recognize, well, those people are not on my level, and I don't need to be bothered by that. I can just slowly let go and move on. And those who are ready right at this time to move on will move on with you. Those who are not, they will stay where they are. And they are all on their own evolution. It is not your job to worry about that. Every single person is on their own unique journey. We should just appreciate that and accept it. And as I said, once you learn to embrace and honor the parts of you that make you special, you will naturally attract those who resonate with your frequency and are aligned with your journey. That happens naturally. It happens as a natural law. As our energy becomes more coherent, we get to the higher frequency where there are more people who are on the same level. Because you can only be where you are aligned with a certain frequency of that dimension. And on that frequency, there are certain things, there are certain events that are constantly repeating, there are certain people that are constantly, repeating same patterns. Like, for example, you meet a new person, but is doing same things as the old person you've just separated yourself with. That's what's happening on a certain frequency. But then you raise your frequency through your inner work, your inner research, your inner healing, emotional healing, trauma healing, recognizing of your limiting beliefs and slowly reprogramming them. And we could talk a lot about this in next videos, how to do that. You start raising your frequency because you're letting go of what is kinda anchoring you in the slower states. You start letting go of that and your frequency start rising, becoming more coherent. Your energy becomes more coherent, and therefore you raise to a higher level where there are people who are also coherent with that frequency, and those people are more similar to you in a sense that they experience similar emotions. They embody similar patterns, like they start doing things that are healthier for them, as you've started doing things that are healthier for you. They start getting into similar subjects as you're doing, something that helped them to get there. And therefore you have more things in common. And higher we go, more things we'll have in common with everyone who will be on that higher level. Because you can only ascend when you embody universal knowledge, universal principles. And those who are higher have just embodied more of those universal principles that all ancient people were talking about. That's why it's so fun if you study history, for example, in school. There's all about dates and names and a bit of their stories and their past and what happened to them and things like that. But if you study real philosophy, you notice it's all about principles. The core of the philosophy is about certain principles that are universal, right? And that's what spirituality then is all about. Embodying the principles that are universal, because that will help you to ascend yourself. And as you start doing it, you will start meeting more and more people who are doing the same work. And that's where you can come together and you recognize, oh, well, I really like you. Right? And that is what is happening right now. And that, as I wrote at the end, you will naturally attract those who resonate with your frequency and are aligned with your journey. That will naturally start happening. If you're right now in the process where you feel kind of alone, you're in the solo phase. I've made a video about signs the universe is preparing you to level up. There was a solo phase. Go and check it out. Go and check out that video, where it explains that this is just for a limited time, where we are embodying new knowledge, we are practicing what we've learned, until our energy starts changing. And when our energy changes, our life starts changing, and that's it, my friends. So I hope you found something valuable today. I'm sending you lots of love, blessings and power. Today I'm also sharing with you my latest painting, a simple one, but important one. The name of it is Flourishing. As Aristotle said, flourishing is the highest experience of life. Once somebody flourish or is flourishing, that person is in the highest possible expression of life. That is, to me, a bliss, when that is a wonderful experience. And this rose that is flourishing on the painting, you will see its roots are actually in the darkness of space, but its upper part grows towards the light. We need darkness and we need light, and the perfect balance happens once we acknowledge our darkness, learn from it, and enlighten it with understanding. That's why studying is so important. The study of life. Start studying life. Keep it up with it. Stay grounded, be moderate, and also be courageous. And always strive towards justice and righteousness, my friends. This is it for today. To anyone who would love to support my art, you can find the link in the description of this video or go into Etsy page, I Draw My Passion, and you will find us. See you there, my friends. Till next time, stay beautiful, stay creative, stay magnificent as you are. My friend, one love.